Afternoon peeps, good afternoon everyone. How's everyone doing? Hopefully you're all doing okay. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button if you guys are new to the channel. Don't forget as well to like and share the vids. We are about to step out to what is another boiling day in Nigeria. It's actually too hot. I'm not used to this anymore. As I said on yesterday's video, I've not been here for like 4 years, and this heat is, especially considering how cold it was in London. So I've gone from like cold to like boiling hot. I need something in between. But yeah, we're about to step out. But I thought, before we go out, let's just do another video. Let's see what there is to talk about from the world of boxing today. Before we do that, actually, you might see someone go in and out of the shot. It's not Ade's girlfriend in Nigeria. The apartment comes with a cook and a cleaner, and she's here today to cook and clean. So yeah, not bad, is it? Not bad at all. All right, let's see what we've got to talk about. You know what I want to talk about? Amir Khan, Kell Brook. Obviously, the fight was about, what was it, 3 weeks ago now? What a night of boxing it was as well, by the way. I say a night of boxing, the undercard was awful. The main event wasn't great either, but just the build up, the noise, Kell Brook's walkout, I thought it was fantastic, I really did. And again, it shows the appetite that there is for boxing in Britain right now. It's crazy. I said, and some people kind of came at me, I said that obviously the football will always be number one when it comes to sports in the UK, but I said that boxing right now, I think, is competing for that number 2 spot. I do. I thought it had it about 3 years ago. I think 3-4 years ago, I think it was booming. Like, it just felt like it was as big as it was ever gonna get. And then it kind of slid a little. But I think it's right there now with rugby, cricket, I don't know what other sports there are. Tennis, when Wimbledon comes around, always feels big. But I think it's right there now with rugby and cricket. But anyway, you're back to it. Amir Khan didn't, after that fight, say he was going to retire. He said he's going to sit down with family and, discuss it, etc., etc., as most boxers should do. I don't think you should make that kind of knee-jerk reaction, because a lot of boxers do, and then a few days later they make a statement or release a statement saying, you know what, we're back. So I think it is something you need to really sit down and take your time with. So he hasn't released any statement. His brother, who, by the way, just vanished off the face of the earth, like just stopped boxing. But anyway, his brother posted a picture of Amir Khan and said, look, we got it wrong on the night, something along those lines. We got it wrong on the night and we're going to do better next time. I'm just paraphrasing here. It could be something slightly different from that. But he definitely alluded to the fact that Amir Khan might want that rematch with Kell Brook. Obviously, a rematch clause was put into the fight and Amir Khan might want to do that. Eddie Hearn alluded to the fact as well in a couple of videos. Conor Benn said something, and even Kell Brook has responded. Now, there's almost conflicting views about this. Eddie Hearn has said that Amir Khan might activate the rematch clause and then, which is quite smart business from Amir Khan, then get step aside money for whoever wants to fight Kell Brook. Because Amir Khan will be in pole position, and if it's Chris Eubank Jr. or if it's Conor Benn, you've got to pay then Amir Khan step aside money, although he might not really want to fight, so it's smart. Then there's the other argument that says, no, Amir Khan wants another crack at Kell. So there's two options here, two arguments here. Is it a case of Amir Khan wants another crack at Kell because he was so poor on the night? Or is it a case of Amir Khan using his business acumen, and we know he's smart when it comes to that, and making sure that he activates the rematch clause, and whoever then wants to fight Kell has to pay Amir Khan a bit of money? I think it's the latter. After that performance and the way he was in the dressing room, it's not like he's been an active fighter for the past 5 years. I think it's a case of Amir Khan knows there's nothing left and he wants to make a bit of money. And who can blame him? I don't blame him at all. You wouldn't want to fight that Kell Brook, that version of Kell Brook again. You wouldn't. And not only that, but I wonder if Kell Brook's going to agree to all the things that he said he had to agree with in order to get the first fight. Like, I wonder if Kell's going to say, no, fuck that, we're not doing it at 149, we'll do it at 151. If you really want it, we'll do it at 151. Again, I don't know what's in the rematch clause. I don't know if he has to stick to exactly what was done before, but you'd like to think that Kell might have a bit more of an upper hand this time round. I just think if you're Amir Khan, like, enough's enough, innit? It really is. Enough's enough. It's been a glorious career. I hate when fighters try and chase it like this. I understand fighters who are broke chasing it, because what else do they know? They've been fighting since they were kids, right? And it's going to be difficult to go into that field without that last big paycheck. That normal 9-to-5 field just isn't for some. But Amir Khan's a multi-millionaire, like multi-millionaire. And so there's no reason for him to be chasing money. Again, I don't think, unless it's, being smart with the rematch clause and someone paying him to step aside. And there's definitely no reason for him to think after that battering that he can beat Kell Brook. There's no way. I mean, look, he put a good team together. He went to Terence Crawford's team. He was trained by Bomac. But all intents and purposes, from what we're hearing, sparring went well. I don't actually believe that. So look, he's done as much as he could. He got in great shape. He sold the fight well. I think he spoke well. All the behind the scenes stuff. He looked like he had the upper hand with Kell. All that is now gone. None of that exists anymore. People are going to be looking at him and thinking, you're just chatting. So if I'm Amir Khan, you leave it alone. You honestly leave it alone. Again, with regards to the step aside, that might be a bit more complicated. It might complicate things for Kell as well. I wonder how long Khan has to activate the rematch clause. Normally it's like a month after. That's the limit. So if it is that, Khan's only got, a week and a half left or a couple of weeks left to activate it. Because if you're Kell Brook, this is causing you a problem if you are going to want to fight Conor Benn, which I think is the smart fight, or Chris Eubank Jr., which I think is the silly fight. Conor Benn said that Kell Brook wanted something around 10 million. Now, I don't think, whoever told Conor that, I think they might have got it wrong. Look, they know more than I do, but I think that's more of a case of the step aside fee you have to pay Amir Khan, and then the money you have to pay Kell Brook. I don't think Kell's asking for £10 million to fight Conor Benn. Doesn't make sense. That's ridiculous. I mean, there's only a handful of fighters in the world that can command that kind of money, and Kell Brook, as much as I'm a big Kell Brook fan, he's not one of them at all. So look, that's where we are with the Amir Khan, Kell Brook's situation. Again, my feelings are Amir Khan should call it quits. My feelings are Kell Brook should call it quits. But if there is one more, that one more should be Conor Benn. Someone his size, a guy that's willing to make it a catch weight of 150. I'm not a fan of catch weights, but in order to see that fight, I'd happily sign up for it. And I think it's a big fight for both. It's almost a passing of the torch fight. Because Conor Benn right now, you look at the opponents that are being linked to Conor Benn, I think Van Heerden was going to be the one that he was going to fight. That's not going to excite the public. It's not enough. Kell Brook does, especially coming off that win. It really does. All right. Anything else to talk about very, very quickly? Taylor Cattrall. This is interesting. WBO previously objected the British Boxing Board of Control appointment of judges Lewis and Lachlan. Interesting. Robert Smith, the General Secretary from the British Boxing Board of Control, he's almost like at a kind of a way of, I don't know what to do. He done an interview with, I think it was Ed Robinson that was interviewing from Sky Sports. Ed's like as knowledgeable as it comes on the sport. And he was like, well, what do we do? Do we do 5 judges, 7 judges, 10 judges around the ring? He said, no one's given me an idea that improves the sport. Dude, you get paid to find these things out. You figure out the ideas. What we've asked for, especially in the case of Ian John Lewis, is a suspension and a demotion. Ian John Lewis shouldn't be refereeing the big fights. Right now, Ian John Lewis should go back to small hall shows and work his way back up once he starts getting things correct again. That's all we're asking for. That's it. Tyson Fury explains why Dillian Whyte defense could be final fight. I find this quite annoying. I've seen his brother Tommy says, oh, he's achieved everything. Sorry, there's way more for you to achieve. I mean, beating Deontay Wilder, so it's still one person 3 times in my book, and Vladimir Klitschko, that's not enough. I mean, if you are, and I don't know if he's chasing, this all-time great status where, you can consider him with the likes of Muhammad Ali's and, your Lennox Lewis's and your Evander Holyfield. If we're talking that, he needs to do a bit more body of work. He needs to do way more. Not even a bit more, way more. And there's people out there. There's AJ, there's Usyk, Dillian Whyte. These fights are out there for him. There'll be other guys up and coming. Look, it depends how long he wants to stay in the sport, because I'm not quite sure. With Tyson Fury, I know a lot of people have said this, you have no idea where he's going, what he's going to say next. But I think there's still a lot more for Tyson Fury to achieve, rather than just, oh yeah, he's done everything because he beat Vladimir Klitschko and Deontay Wilder. Don't get me wrong, 2 very, very good wins. But if there's more work out there to be done, do it. WBO to order Munguia, Alim Kanuli. Alim Kanuli was supposed to fight Demetrius Andrade. Demetrius Andrade obviously moving up in weight to fight Zach Parker. That fight will be in the UK. Munguia versus Alim Kanuli is just brick versus brick. It has danger written all over it for both men. It really does. That would be an outstanding fight. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Munguia is going to lobby for the Charlo fight, and it's a fight I really want him to have, and it's a fight that makes more sense just because it gets to the stage where it's a risk-reward thing. The risk in fighting an Alim Kanuli is higher, the reward isn't higher because no one really knows who he is. The risk in fighting Charlo is high, but the reward is huge. The money's even more. So if you're Munguia, and some people might say, oh, it's a duck if he doesn't fight Alam Kanuli. No, it's a great business decision. It's a fantastic business decision. So if I'm Munguia, you've got to surely look at the Charlo fight. I don't think Charlo will fight Munguia though. Hearn backs Joshua's decision to elevate Fernandez to head trainer. I kept calling him Hernandez yesterday. I think at this stage, Hearn will back whatever Joshua says, if I'm honest with you. I can't think of one instance where Hearn's not agreed with anything AJ's done. And as Hearn says, he works for AJ, AJ doesn't work for Hearn. I still find it weird. Again, the only thing that makes sense is it's difficult to get in sync with a trainer that quick. It really is. So even if he does bring any new trainer in, that new trainer is going to take such a long time to understand how AJ wants to do things. Whereas at least Fernandez understands. He knows. He's been around AJ for a couple of years now, right? Maybe even a bit longer behind the scenes where we didn't know. So he knows exactly. And maybe that role, him just being the main person, might work. It might work. Because at the end of the day, he can do whatever he wants. As soon as Rob McCracken says it's this way, then it has to happen this way. So yeah, interesting. Anything else? Very, very quickly. We are going to do a Michael Conlan, or should I say, let me do it correctly, Lee Wood, Michael Conlan preview tomorrow. We'll do it tomorrow, just because I've got to go out now very quickly. I can't wait for that card in Nottingham. Obviously, look, in fact, the card isn't that thick. There's some interesting fights on the card. Like Terry Harper returns, that's interesting. Kevin Ajarko, would he add his name to the current 160 guys over here? I say over here, like, you know what I mean when I say over here. So there's some interesting fights, but obviously look, Michael Conlan Wood that's what it's all about. The Irish are going to come over. It's going to be crazy in terms of noise. And for DAZN, all of us are back now, which is really good. Laura Woods is back. Obviously, I'm back now. Tony Bellew and David Diamante. So it's a full team for the first time this year. So looking forward to being with everyone. Anything else? All right, guys, that's it because we've got to go. Peace and love.